If you search online for how long it takes to learn AWS, you'll see answers like 30 days, 2 weeks, or just pass a certification and you're done. Let's be honest. Those answers sound nice, but they aren't realistic. AWS isn't something you finish. It's something you grow into. So in this video, I'll break down how long it really takes to learn AWS, what learning AWS actually means, and what you should expect at each stage so you don't get discouraged. First, what does learning AWS even mean? This is where most of the confusion starts. Learning AWS does not mean knowing every single service, memorizing the console, or just passing one exam. Learning AWS means understanding how cloud systems work, knowing which AWS service solves which problem, and being able to build and explain simple architectures. The timeline depends on your goal, not just the clock. Let's start with phase 1, understanding the basics. This takes about 1 to 2 months. This is where everyone starts. At this stage, you're learning what cloud computing is, what AWS actually provides, what regions and availability zones mean, and the basic services like EC2, S3, EM, and VPC. Your brain is adjusting, and things might feel confusing at first. That is completely normal. At the end of this phase, you should be able to explain AWS in simple terms, understand what common services do, and navigate the AWS console without panicking. You're not job ready yet, but AWS no longer feels scary. Next is phase 2, hands-on practice. This takes about 2 to 4 months, and it's where the real learning happens. You'll start deploying simple websites, launching EC2 instances, using S3 for storage, and setting permissions with EM. You will break things. You will get errors. You might even get small AWS bills, but that is part of learning. At this stage, you are building muscle memory. By the end of this phase, you should know how to create and clean up resources and understand why things work, not just how. This is where many people quit, not because it's hard, but because it's uncomfortable. If you push through this stage, you are doing great. Then comes phase 3, confidence and direction. This usually happens between 4 to 8 months. Now, things start to click. You're no longer randomly clicking around in the console. You start to understand why certain services are used together, how AWS designs solutions, and how cost, security, and reliability fit in. This is when you can start choosing a direction, like solutions architect, cloud engineer, or DevOps. You can now explain your projects clearly and follow AWS documentation without fear. At this stage, getting certified actually starts to make a lot more sense. Finally, we have phase 4, real-world readiness. This can take 8 to 12 months, or even more. This is where AWS becomes practical. You're building real projects, troubleshooting issues logically, and thinking about trade-offs, not just features. You don't know everything, but you know enough to work on real systems, support applications, and learn new AWS services quickly. This is where most entry-level cloud roles become a realistic goal. Now, why do timelines differ for everyone? Some people learn faster because they already understand networking or Linux, they practice consistently, and they build projects instead of just watching videos. Others take longer because they only watch tutorials, avoid hands-on work, or jump between too many topics. AWS rewards consistency, not speed. The biggest mistake beginners make is trying to rush. AWS is not a race. If you rush, you memorize instead of understand, you pass exams but can't explain systems, and you'll burn out. Slow, steady learning beats fast, shallow learning every single time. So here's a realistic expectation. If you study and practice consistently, you'll feel comfortable in 3 to 4 months, you'll feel confident in 6 to 9 months, and you'll become job ready over time with practice, not overnight. That is normal, and that is healthy. The final takeaway is this. Learning AWS is a journey, not a deadline. The goal isn't to finish AWS. The goal is to use AWS confidently. If you focus on fundamentals, build projects, and stay consistent, AWS will stop feeling overwhelming and start feeling logical. If this video helped set some realistic expectations for you, please like the video. If you're learning AWS and want honest, stress-free explanations, subscribe. And tell me in the comments, how long have you been learning AWS so far?